today's quick tips, we're going to be talking about the Jacaranda tree and how you can grow her in your South Florida garden. So, you ready to dig in? Let's grow. The Jacaranda tree goes by the botanical name Jacaranda mimisifolia, and she's native to South America. But she's adapted to grow in South Florida from hardiness zones 9B to 11. She is not considered invasive, so she'll make a great tree if you put her in the right place. This tree can get quite large. She'll grow to about 35 feet tall to up to 50 feet across, and her trunk and branches will often form this very sculptural look, like you can see here with this tri-dominant specimen. You wouldn't typically classify this as a Florida #1 because you typically want one central leader, but the Jacaranda has this very wonky growth habit, and this tree has got to be over 60 years old and has gone through so many tropical storms, so she has proven that she has no real maintenance headaches even with the tri-dominant leaders. Okay, now let's talk about the Jacaranda's main characteristic, these beautiful lavender flowers. They're so light and fluffy I could die. These beautiful trumpet-shaped flowers form in large clusters, and the Jacaranda will flower for you mostly in May, but she can flower for you all the way through summer, sometimes even up until August. But mostly she's known for flowering in May, and the flowers will cover the entire tree. So pretty. Her leaves are fern-like and give a very airy feel to the tree. They just sort of dance in the wind. Very pretty to look at. Okay, now that we've gone over the main characteristics of the Jacaranda, let's go on to plant care. On plant care, you want to give your Jacaranda full sun. She's going to do her best flowering if you give her full sun. And also, you want to make sure you give her lots of room to grow. As you can see, she gets to be very large. For soil type, you want to give your tree a sandy soil if possible. So if your native soil in your yard tends to be muck or a marl mix, you can help improve that soil by adding a well-drained potting mix. We recommend for a Jacaranda that you would use this in your planting pit. Say you get a 15-gallon container Jacaranda to plant. You want to augment that planting pit with 7 gallons of well-drained potting mix. So we recommend this ratio: 10% worm castings, 80% coarse sand, and 10% perlite. Mix that all together and then add that into your planting pit with the existing soil, and you're all set. On watering, you're going to want to take a staged approach. When you first put the tree in the ground, you want to water 3 times a week for the first month, and then you want to watch it thereafter. But once your tree gets established, let's say up to like 4 or 5 months later, you really don't need to water that much. You just want to make sure there's no wilting, because this tree is very drought tolerant once it gets going. On fertilizer, you can add an organic 394 in April, May, and June, but you need to check with your city ordinances on this. Sometimes there's some restrictions on adding fertilizers these days. And the last thing I want to mention on plant care is that you want to make sure you remove any crowded branching or cross branching in your Jacaranda. These trees grow kind of wonky like I mentioned, and you want to remove any of those branches so you don't have any of these snap off in a storm. There you have it. I want to thank you all for joining us today. If you have any thoughts or questions, just leave them in the comment section below. And until the next video, bye. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And tell your friends and family. We post videos weekly. Thanks.